Hello friends, court again. I know, this is a never-ending story. Well, it's my life. It's a never-ending story. For whatever reason, I always end up in trouble, unintentionally. I open my mouth, I tell people the truth, and the liars pop up from every closet. I mean, there's a lots of closets in the city, in this province, in this country. So I am here with lawyers, the best lawyers in the country, fighters, pit bulls. I know she doesn't look like one, but you know what?
She is.
She has the bite. She has the bite. And you look like a pit bull now, like a fighter. So another 2 days of court, another craziness, and I'm just going to give it to the professionals. What just happened? I mean, this was ridiculous. 8 lawyers came today against us. Tell us, update the people what's happening. And again, I am referring to the lawsuit that we launched a few years ago against all kinds of parties and for what they have done to me and my brother David. Solitary confinement, metal cages, psych ward, you name it. It's in this lawsuit. And of course, many players, many actors, politicians involved, different law enforcement agencies. And here is Chad.
Well, as you guys know, this is a massive claim. So this is a claim spanning events that go back basically 4 or 5 years, involving the malicious prosecution, false arrest, false imprisonment, assault and battery. There's actually a long laundry list of a whole bunch of different causes of actions that we've alleged against the Government of Canada, the Government of Alberta, the Calgary Police, the City of Calgary, independent of the Calgary Police, Alberta Health Services, but also Canada Post, unknown parties as well, unknown government agencies, unknown private agencies that might have been under the employ of the government. This is a very, very detailed and lengthy claim, and what we've been basically fighting over the last couple of days. Now, this has also been a fight that's been going on behind the scenes over a period of almost a year, culminating in 2 days of what they call special court hearings, which is extended court hearings where everybody gets to kind of give longer arguments as opposed to just a regular chambers session. Now, the Alberta Health Services, the Government of Canada, as well as the City of Calgary, not to be confused with the Calgary Police, have alleged that they just don't know, they don't have enough particularization of the claims against them in order to properly defend the claim, which is fairly bizarre, as the Government of Alberta drafted and filed a very robust and detailed statement of defense, which clearly shows that at least one of the defendants has a very, very intricate comprehension of what we were claiming in the statement of claim. So it's kind of contradictory. I don't know if the court saw that, but this is an uphill battle. This is not just, neighbor broke Art's fence and now we're trying to get $100 from them and it's cut and dry. It's not just one event, it's hundreds of events. It's not just, well, maybe not hundreds, but it's at least dozens of events.
For me, it was hundreds.
Well, I mean, how long were you in prison?
I was a year and a half on house arrest and 50 days in physical prison.
Like, every one of these is a day. And if you can put yourself into that position, like this was what we allege to have been a campaign of systematic abuse of process and harassment. And at least the Government of Canada's position is, well, we're just too massive. We have no idea. We can't possibly know which one of our agencies had done all this stuff. They're claiming the whole world. It's just too big and it's just too cumbersome. When in the same breath, the Government of Alberta was able to dissect and file a defense, and then not only file a defense, provide us with, I think, up to 350 documents of disclosure in relation to things that were specifically pled in the statement of claim. So it's a bizarre case, but this is really a flavor of what's to come in terms of how the government is going to attempt to delay, obstruct, cost Arthur out of this litigation. When Arthur came to me to begin with, he kind of said, oh my God, I mean, how much is this realistically going to cost? And I think I gave you a pretty big number.
Yes,
we're starting to see.
I'm still tormented by it.
Now, I would also like to point out, because everyone thinks that everybody thinks that we're just this, we're all lawyers charge $1,000 an hour. Art knows that I give you a very preferred rate, but we're still lawyers. And there's still a whole bunch of work that has to go into this stuff. I actually bill Arthur a rate that I billed my clients when I was a second-year lawyer, not an 8-year lawyer. So I'm doing my part to try to reduce Arthur's what's going to inevitably be an enormous cost. Now, Rebecca's a first year. She's pretty much like a fifth year in terms of her brain and processing capabilities, more like a computer than anything else. But we're trying to reduce the cost, but by the same token, what we've seen from the government today is how aggressively they're going to try to conflate and confuse every single issue. It came to our mind today that this is probably going to need to be case managed, which means that this entire action is going to have to be broken down into every constituent element and interlocutory application. So Art's got a ways to go. This is a tremendously uphill battle, and he doesn't have big civil rights charities helping him, and he doesn't have massive funders with piggy banks and wealthy donors funding this litigation. This is his parish is assisting with this, and that's it. And his parishes should be spending resources helping the poor and spreading his word, not fighting against monolithic Leviathan beasts who are hell-bent on trying to complicate and make this as difficult as possible for Art to prosecute. And admittedly, this is tremendously complex. There's like 4 or 5 years of stuff, hundreds of different events.
Many agencies involved, right?
That's right. And of course, the government doesn't want to let us know which agencies were involved. They say, well, Arthur should know. Yeah. He's just playing stupid that he doesn't know, who was involved in investigating, surveilling him. I suppose maybe even Arthur's supposed to know if people were secretly surveilling him. Maybe you're like a super spy. He kind of looks like a James Bond sort of dude, but
older version.
Older version. Anyway, this is going to be a beast. I don't know how today's going to go. I think there were moments where I saw the judge kind of grill the defendants. There were moments where the judge admonished me. It was a 2-day proceeding. It's very clear that at least one of the lawyers on the other side has a serious personal problem with me. And I mean, we're going to have to fight through that. I mean, it's to be expected. To be fair, I'm quite friendly with some of the other defendants' lawyers. They're actually, while they're adversaries, they're at least dealing with me with professionalism. Yeah. They might not be reasonable, and that's why we're here today, but at least they're being professional, and that's usually all I ask from a legal opponent. So any other questions, Art?
Well, I just want to let you know again why we are doing this. I mean, we are doing this not because we got nothing better to do. We're doing this because justice demands restitution. We're doing this because I believe that you deserve to know who is who did what, and why it was done, and for what. I mean, that's a big question, why they did what they did. I'm wondering, and I know that many of you are wondering, why this was done to us. Why a pastor that was giving people messages of hope was targeted for 4 years, hundreds of incidents, multiple agencies. I was followed by helicopters, I was followed by undercover, I was followed by SWAT team, arrested by SWAT team, arrested by RCMP, arrested by detectives, arrested in a highway, outside the home, imprisoned, what they did to me in prison. Why this was done? Why we have become so dangerous? I would like to know. I think you deserve to know. Canadians deserve to know why. That's why I am doing this. That's why my brother is doing this, because that's why you guys are doing it. Because the truth matters, at least to me. And you were a pit bull today. You were barking and you were biting.
It's this new mustache, which is this is limited edition because my wife wants it gone. It's given me this power. It's given me some power from above that I didn't have before. I think maybe it's just the bare chin, but I felt it today. And there's elements.
No, you did great. I think you did great. But you were quietly sitting in the background, and I watched you because I was even watching you behind. So you were watching the judge and the adversaries. I was watching all of you, but you were watching the enemy. I saw you watching the enemy, their reactions. So tell us, what happened, how it happened today, how it looked from your perspective.
Oh my goodness, from my perspective, well, it looked like some of them were really upset with what we said. Yes.
They got nervous,
They
right?
were nervous. They were nervous. Yeah, they definitely didn't like what Chad said. But for the most part, they were all good. Like, their submissions were pretty good. Yeah, it was okay. It was okay. We'll see what happens.
You know, Rebecca and I are against a legion of lawyers. This has been my entire career, and Rebecca's just starting hers, and this is what in her heart she wants to do. And Arthur is up against the world. Rebecca's up against a law career, taking on a vocation and an area of practice in constitutional law, civil rights, freedom, liberty, charter abuses. This is something that not a lot of people step their foot into. Now, I've got the power because of the Lemmy here, but I mean, it's very admirable that Rebecca is stepping into the ring with such vigor, and she's super intelligent too. So it's going to be really cool to work with her. You guys know Art; he's brave as a lion, and I mean, he's going to continue to do that. I actually get a little bit of a kick out of one by one having some lawyer make nervous submissions to the court, and then stepping up and trying to hammer that, and then sitting down, having someone else step up and try to take me on, and then piece by piece trying to dismantle every single applicant's submissions one by one. What I thought was actually a good strategy was at the outset, everyone the court was going to say, well, let's let all of the government go first, and then Mr. Williamson, you can just do a big reply at the end. And I said, hey, wait a second, it's actually a really bad idea. What if I get to talk 6 or 7 times? So I said, hey, I think I should probably be able to reply to each application as they make it. Well, the court agreed, which allowed me to continue to hammer home some of the central points, but also address piecemeal all of the different sporadic arguments from each one of these particular defendants. And by defendants, like, we're talking about Alberta Health Services, the government of Alberta. We're talking about the cops, the RCMP. Like, these are massive.
Attorney General.
The Attorney General. And the government of Canada, who says that they just can't understand the claims. That they just don't understand.
They don't know what happened.
They just don't know what happened.
Maybe they don't, but we do not know what happened either. So that's why we're here.
Well, so what I ask the judge is, if there is a conspiracy where a whole bunch of third parties are entering into a secret agreement, allegedly, to come and get you, and you're like, clearly the whole thing of this conspiracy is that you're not there.
Yeah.
How are we supposed to know?
Yeah, of course.
The material facts in respect to those discussions, right? We make the allegations. The pattern is there. So it'll be interesting to see how the court rules. I actually think that we got a judge who I've known to at least hear all sides. He was taking vigorous notes. He admonished counsel a little bit here and there. I'm familiar with a lot of the judges here. I think that we got a jurist who might render us a decision that at least takes into consideration some of the arguments that we put before the bench. So anyway, I could talk forever, but
well, lawyers, right? What happens when lawyers and pastors come together? Well, you don't eat dinner. That's what happens. Well, thank you so much for your support. I mean, without you, we would not be able to do this. Go to streetchurch.ca and please chip in. One man cannot do this. One family cannot do this. One little church cannot do this. But when we come together, we will have justice. And that's what we're fighting for. So thank you so much for fighting for us, for Canada, and for the future of our children. Because in the end of the day, you, me, we're going to be gone. It's just a matter of when. But we have children. And I always said, and I said the same thing in Coutts, and I'm going to say it until Jesus comes back, our children are worth fighting for. That's why we're doing what we're doing, because we have children, and they will have children. What kind of a nation we're going to leave behind, it's up to us. And we are making that decision today. We're still in a fight. We're still in a ring. That means we can still win, and I know that we're going to win. So be blessed, stay strong, and
sorry to interrupt. There's one thing that Winston Churchill said way back in the day. I think it was 1942. He said,
I don't remember that. I'm old, but I'm not.
Well, and I mean, I don't remember either, but he said, this is not the end. and it's not the beginning, but it could be the end of the beginning. And that's,
I like that.
That's probably accurate in this situation. So we have a long way to go.
This is the end of them. This is the beginning of the end for them. Be blessed and see you next time.